Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Houston Oasis. As you all know, we are a community of compassion and reason, an alternative to faith-based communities. And behind me, you can see our core values, including people are more important than beliefs. My name is Will, and it is my pleasure to be your MC today. We got a really good lineup for you today. Our musical guest is Mr. Woji. And both our community moment and main talk will be given by one of our own, Jeffrey Leppart. So with that, I'm going to let's get this Sunday started. Once in a while, we have a community moment, which is a short talk by someone in the community. This week, community moment will be given by the same human as the main presenter. And I'll go into his introduction a little bit more, but if you don't mind, we'll have a short community moment by Mr. Jeffrey Leppart.
Because today I had a special day planned called the Houston Appreciation and Celebration Day for 2022. And I have written a speech that I'm going to give now as my community moment. Oasiens are mostly people who have had religious indoctrination in their youth, but have now decided instead to follow reason in their lives. Maybe you are like that too. We believe, like Christian congregations, that it's nice to have a community of people who think and believe much as you do. It is not easy going from a fixed delusional religious belief system to non-religious belief or seeing the world as an unbeliever. But there is so much to be gained. However, first we must lose any remnant of fear that was imposed upon our fertile little minds as children by the people we trusted the most. Maybe our parents, or maybe not, but most certainly our pastors. By the way, you must not blame your parents if they place dark and uncomfortable thoughts in your mind, for they were both brainwashed too, just many years earlier. And you shouldn't resent your pastor, for he was just trying to save your soul in his mind. He was just doing what he was hired and paid to do, and I suppose he was sincere in his belief. But blame Christianity instead. Some of us were lucky enough to not have had to experience the dark teachings that are a part of Christianity, like the idea that there may actually be a place like hell. Such thoughts are hideous and unhealthy to your mind, even if you believe that you yourself are going to heaven. If I believed that stuff was real, it would bother me terribly. There is a Bible verse in the book of James that says, "A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways." I agree with that idea. I myself must have logic in my thoughts, and only logic. If I were in some way forced to make myself believe things that I really can't believe, like, for instance, there is a supernatural world and it is ruled by a supposedly loving Father whose love is so extremely conditional that he condemns millions of his children to eternal damnation simply for not believing something or not believing strong enough. But somehow we are supposed to believe he still loves us. I have heard that God weeps each time a soul drops off a cliff into hell. If I tried to believe such things, I would become unstable in all my ways as well, as I try to reconcile such beliefs with logic and reason. And it is easy to see how trying to believe such things could lead to grave psychological disturbances in people's minds. The Christian religion teaches that you must give up reason to believe as a Christian. That is, you cannot find Christ through your mind. You must find him somewhere else. I sincerely tried such an experiment in living for Christ for over 5 years back in the 70s, and my self-imposed delusion just made me feel sick and disoriented in my mind. My mind needs reason to be healthy. And if you can get people to give up their reason, you could tell them anything. It no longer has to make sense. Of course, you should never let anyone tell you to give up your reason, and any self-respecting humanist would laugh at such a thought. In the Houston Oasis congregation, you will find 2 medical doctors who are prominent members. This is beneficial because you can ask them for free medical advice, and if you disagree with the analysis given by one, you can get a second opinion. And there are other people with doctoral degrees as well. There are also school teachers and, yes, former ministers. Former ministers have great stories to relate to the rest of us because religion was once their whole lives and identities. Now they are unbelievers like us. But most of us are just regular people, people like you and me. Houston Oasis is somewhat of an experiment. It is very important to me that it is a successful experiment. It is now time for people to socially evolve from fear-based religion to live by the radiant light of reason and intellectual freedom. Oasien children will have the advantage of growing up without the religiously threatening thoughts and ideas wandering through their minds like many of us did. They will not be taught that, but they will be taught other things, things that are healthy to their minds, like non-judgment, for example. And never will they be taught anything that they would later need to unlearn. Thank you.
Now I'll introduce our main speaker, Mr. Jeffrey Leppart. Has a master's degree in music from the University of North Texas. He is also an accomplished jazz saxophone player with several albums to his credit, and has played at Oasis many times with his band called the Ace Quality Jazz Service, of the name. Jeffrey writes vocal music and has performed many times here at Houston Oasis, as mentioned above. He is going to perform a new song and explain the process in his talk entitled Houston Oasis Appreciation Day.
I'm going to do an extremely long introduction to this song that I wrote recently during the pandemic for Oasis. It's called, The Name of This Place is Oasis. And I'm very proud of this composition, and I consider it to be special. So I have made copies for everyone, and you can add it to your Oasis songbook. The song is called And the Name of This Place is Oasis, and it is a documentarian story of the history of Oasis and what Oasis is all about, as well as a story paralleling my own growth that led me to find where my place is and where my space is in Oasis. For a person like me, the Oasis Sunday Gathering is aptly named. I had been working almost my entire life trying to heal my mind from the damage that my Christian brainwashing had caused. I was ready and eager to meet other people who were like me in that way. And so finding Oasis was like finding a real oasis for my mind, where I could share my thoughts with others who are on the same path. And so at this time, I would like to take you through the lyrics of this song, because I want you to get the full impact of the lyrics when they are performed and to be cognitively prepared for them. I want to instill in your minds the basic cognitive structures that would be beneficial to you as a listener. It is a little work, but it shows how important I think this song will be to us. I begin by exploring the liberating nature and feeling of a mind being freed from the captivity of religious dogma and being exposed to the radiant light of reason. And now, if you look at your yellow sheets, the lyrics begin. I believe I've changed my mind on beliefs left far behind, and the feeling of liberty embraces that liberated me I have chosen to be, though my liberating changes came in phases. Here I am stating that the liberation of my mind to the point I am at now did not happen all at one time. And believe me, I am not white light now, but rather the liberation that I have received came in plateaus. So we must understand that the people in our community may be at different phases or plateaus in their belief and non-belief. However, it really doesn't matter, as we must support each other wherever we are in the process of the healing and developing of our minds. We strengthen each other by our joining in this objective. Now back to the yellow sheets again. So I searched for a while for a place that suits my style and a place that suits my homeostasis. Now, the word homeostasis, consider homeo to mean same, and stasis to mean something like state or state of being or state of mind. So I found a place that suits my homeostasis, means I found a place that is both happy and healthy for my mind. And back to the sheet. I looked around and found the hippest place in town. Now, when we get to this place, we normally would shout out the line together, and the name of this place is Oasis. But because of the pandemic, maybe we should just forcefully think that line or whisper it into your mask. But still, you should stick out your chest with pride and be sure to say this place and not the place. The word this is important to my rhyme scheme. And the name of this place is Oasis. Starting the second verse on your yellow sheet. Down in Texas where the taxes are cheap, Oasis began its early stages. Yes, folks, it all began right here in Houston, Texas. Oasis is something that you cannot be found in just any city, and I consider that right there to be one good reason to live here in Houston. Then it goes, agnostics, free thinkers, and atheists alike have all come to sing Oasis praises. We have brought in many famous free thinkers, like Dan Barker and Seth Andrews, for example. And I'm quite sure that they were impressed, and we have every right to be proud as well. We are the reasoneers. Just like an engineer runs a train, we are the reasoneers of our minds. So it seems fitting that the next line of the song would be, It's a place where reason is reason enough. Excuse the pitch there. Then comes a particularly important line of the song. And people know that nothing replaces a place where people face their fears like you and I do. Considering that most of us were religiously brainwashed in our youth, that tends to leave baggage that needs to be discarded and replaced with the clarity and joy of reason. But we don't have to do it alone. We can get strength through one another. And then we finished with the verse normally singing together, and the name of this place is Oasis. The third verse mentions a couple of my favorite Oasien core values. It starts like, people are more important than beliefs, and such is the basis of Oasis. Then it goes, human hands can handle human problems all alone, in even the worst of cases. There should be much discussion on these two prominent Oasian ideas, but I must press on. The next line goes, religion is out, and without a doubt, dogmatic thoughts Oasis replaces. Yes, folks, Oasis replaces those weary and mind-damaging ideas that may have been taught to you in your church or superstition station. And Oasis replaces them with happy thoughts that need no explanation. Then to end the song, I repeat the line, I looked around and found the hippest place in town. And then we would normally all sing together. And the name of this place is Oasis. And now I'm going to do the song. I thought you would like that superstition station joke. Expecting a laugh there, but okay, Kevin. I believe I changed my mind on beliefs left far behind, and a feeling of liberty embraces that liberated me. I have chosen to be, though my liberating changes came in phases. So I looked all around for a place that suits my style, and a place that suits my homeostasis. I looked around and found the hippest place in town, and the name of this place is Oasis. Down in Texas, where the taxes are cheap, Oasis began its early stages. Agnostics, free thinkers, and atheists alike have all come to sing Oasis praises. It's a place where reason is reason enough, and people know that nothing replaces a place where people face their fears like you and I do. And the name of this place is Oasis. are more important than beliefs, and such is the basis of Oasis. Human hands can handle human problems all alone, in even the worst of cases. Religion is out, and without a doubt, agnostic, dogmatic thoughts Oasis replaces. We choose instead to fill our hearts and heads with happy thoughts that need no explanation. Look around and found the hippest place in town. Now I am going to do what is called the money talk. We are not a prosperity church. We do not make empty promises that you will get a miracle in your life if you contribute money. Prosperity churches teach that the more you contribute, the more that God can bless you in return. If you are in financial trouble, give what you have to God, meaning us, and God will do the rest. And don't limit God, give him, meaning us again, your best. And if by chance someone does get bailed out in some way, the church will take full credit and proclaim it to be a miracle, an absolute proof of the validity of their teaching. And another thing, the head minister is always quite wealthy from his congregation's donations, and he can justify it because he has to be an example to the flock of prosperity religion believers. So you see how that works, right? But we're too hip for that. This is also true for metaphysical churches, but the twist for them is like this. You have to get into the flow of the universe. You give us money, and the universe will pay it back to you many times over. These preachers that fleece their congregations like that are actually con men. The expression comes from the word confidence. They take you into their confidence and then take advantage of you. Again, we do not do that at the Houston Oasis Secular Humanist Church. So then the question comes to mind, why contribute at all? Well, I'll tell you why I contribute. I realize that while this church is totally run by volunteers, it still takes money to rent this building and to pay the visiting musicians. Now, I give $100 a month and put it on my credit card. That is not a lot, and there are several people who are still working that give much, much more. But for someone living on a teacher's pension, it is not too bad. At least it is something. I do not always come to Oasis because sometimes Brenda's granddaughter spends the weekend with us and we stay home with her, but our money comes to Oasis every week anyway. Well then, what do you get out of Oasis? Oasis provides a community of free-thinking people. This community is important to my homeostasis. But beyond that, I want this experiment to work and last for generations. For that to happen, we must hold on and not let go of our dream, that we may grow and grow throughout the future, shining the light of reason to the world. I imagine that in time, we may have a large congregation, and then many of our children will grow up to be about 11 years old. In the Lutheran Church, they would go through confirmation class at that age, where they would learn the tenets of the church, and they would also be exposed to the dark side of Christianity, not to mention being asked to accept far-fetched teachings regarding the supernatural world. We have always said that we will not do this to our children, but that does not mean that we shouldn't teach them anything. We should have our own Saturday morning instructional seminars for our children that might last 6 or 10 weeks or so, and that would be it. And there would be a new group every year. We could begin by renting a conference room at a Holiday Inn on Saturday mornings, and they are real cheap on the weekends. We would teach them a healthy curriculum of humanistic ideas. We would, for example, teach them not to judge other people and how to forgive each other, and how to live in a world primarily populated by people who had been religiously brainwashed. And that stealing is wrong, not because it says so in the ancient book of Jewish fairy tales, but it is wrong because when you steal from somebody, you don't take the other person into consideration, only yourself, and that is clearly wrong. These lessons should function for the kids like exquisite psychology. These are thoughts that will be instilled in them for life. We would get our teachers from the congregation, and some of them might at this time begin by making up lesson plans that may be used sometime far in the future. And then that lesson plan will be taught again to the next year's class, and on and on. The making of such a lesson plan would be a good topic for a community moment. I don't have any children of my own, so I consider all Oasien children to be my own in my mind. Perhaps some of my thoughts may live on in these children's minds long after I am gone, and thereby a part of me will live on in them. There's an old song that goes, "You gotta have a dream, for if you don't have a dream, how are you gonna have a dream come true?" The Christian church teaches their children sanctification, but we will teach our children self-actualization, realizing their full potential. This is my dream, won't you make it yours too? That's my money talk. Anybody have any questions?
Yeah, Jeff, thanks. That was excellent. Thank you for all that work and all that thought. I had a question about the lyric "Down in Texas where the taxes are cheap." Now, was that part of? Seriously, no. Was that phrasing part of the rhyming scheme you talked about, or?
Where the Texas, where the taxes, that's
where the
poetic.
taxes are cheap. Yeah.
That has just.
No, I understand that, but I'm talking about the choice of, that line, or was that part of the rhyming scheme or something?
It was chosen to be a poetic device.
Oh, okay.
But, we don't have to pay state tax here, and a lot of people are moving here from California because they can't pay the taxes there, and they're moving here, and that's good for us because they're liberals, and they will help swing the state blue. And that's another reason to live here. And this Houston Oasis, I mean, where else are you going to go and get this?
Yeah, Jeff, thank you so much for that. I really loved it. I'd just like to say that Jeff actually sent me a CD of this song. And so I'm pretty familiar with the song because I'd listened to it. Unfortunately, it was in a format that was, I guess, originally designed to protect copyrights and stuff. So the plan was that I was going to put it on Facebook or someplace where everyone would have access to it, because of course music becomes a little more enjoyable when you're familiar with it. And eventually I think this song, the more I heard it, the more I really loved it. I think it really could be an Oasis
If we could get it on
anthem.
KPFT, just think what that would do.
Well, Abhishek says that he laughs at that format, CDA format. So, yeah. So I guess my point is that hopefully we'll get this on either Oasis Facebook or some other place where people can have access to it and just listen to it. And in my own case, I probably listened to it, say 4 or 5 times, and each time I listened to it, I enjoyed it more. So,
Hey, Jeff, I really enjoyed your talk. Thank you. And one thing that I miss about going to church on Sundays is the music. And Mike Nelson and I have talked before about how nice it would be to have something like that here. And I know that's why we have musicians. But I always thought it would be cool if we could sing as a congregation. And I know right now, like, you know, we can't really sing. But if this was something, I don't know if the board would vote on it or how it would work, where, I don't know about y'all, but if you have, right, like we could go out there and sing, right? But there's something about the ritual, like I still have not gotten rid of the Bible I got in my confirmation class, just because there were some good feelings for me that are tied to, I had a nice pastor when I was a kid, and he really cared, and we had wonderful, you know, music, and there were so many rituals of the church every Sunday that it becomes comforting. And it's part of what I think Oasis was trying to give to us, you know, who are non-believers. And I think it would be cool if we sang this every time we got together, if we had something like that. And I don't know if that's something that you've talked with Mike Nelson or other people about, but
Yeah, I'm
wanna
trying to
mention
make
that.
an Oasian songbook. Last time I handed out yellow sheets was when I did Fears of Our Fathers. That was before the pandemic. And I made up 30 sheets, and it wasn't nearly enough. So I made up 70 sheets for today.
Thanks, Jeff. I've enjoyed this very much, and I agree that I think of Oasis as an evolving assembly.
Yeah.
More is yet to come. But we have a friend from San Antonio who has been here when she's visited us, and she gave us a moniker of, you go to Nurch, not a church.
Yeah. Well, that's another thing I was thinking on, is we need to, I think we should call ourselves the Houston Oasis Secular Humanist Church. So we explain what we are, because there's another church in Houston called Oasis, which is a black church. And there was a band called Oasis. It was a very popular band. So just calling ourselves Oasis isn't enough.
This song goes out to anyone who ever punched a clock in their life. And there we go. And particularly to all my union brothers and sisters out there. There we go. And this one's called Punching That Clock. I wake up every morning, walk right out that door, same way like my daddy done 10,000 times before. I proudly joined the union, I paid my dues, now that's a fact. "35 years been punching that clock, now it's punching back." Economy keep growing, markets on the rise, but wages keep falling back, ain't no relief in sight, and the rich keep getting richer. I just can't stay in the black. And 35 years been punching that clock, now it's punching back. The company wants concessions, our pensions all but gone. Now they're closing down some plants, shipping jobs to Vietnam. Then the governor signs the orders and busts the union just like that. And 35 years been punching that clock, now it's punching back. Now I got me a second job, wife's out working too, truck still sitting in the shop, mortgage overdue. My oldest boy want college, sister next in line. Now the word's coming down, they're cutting back our overtime. And my doctor said better slow down, I just might have a heart attack. 'Cause 35 years been punching that clock, now it's punching back. Said 35 years been punching that clock, now it's punching back. Thanks, Jeff. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much.